Now hush, all that crying won't save you.
Briarwood wasn't the kind of place where things like this happened. Small town, quiet streets, the kind of place where people still left their doors unlocked. And at the center of it all was the library, built decades ago by two people the town trusted more than anyone else, Agnes Hightower and her husband. She wasn't just the librarian, she was part of the town's foundation, a constant, a familiar face, someone who knew your name before you even spoke. Nothing about her ever felt wrong, until it did. This is the Quiet Files. Agnes didn't start this, her husband did. At first, it didn't look like anything dangerous, just a book, old, worn, the kind of thing you'd expect to find buried in the back of a library no one ever checked. He said it was historical, philosophy, ancient belief systems, nothing more than curiosity. And Agnes believed him, because there was no reason not to. But something about it stuck with him. He didn't just read it, he returned to it, again and again and again. What started as interest became routine. Late nights in the library, long hours alone, notes written in margins that weren't there before, symbols that didn't belong in any catalog system. At first, Agnes noticed, and it unsettled her, the way he spoke about it, the way he defended it, the way it stopped sounding like theory and started sounding like belief. She questioned it, once, maybe twice, but he always had an answer, always calm, always reasonable. He told her it wasn't what she thought, that people misunderstood things like this, that there was knowledge most people were too afraid to look at. And for a while, that was enough, until curiosity set in. Because Agnes wasn't naive, she was intelligent, methodical, and if something was happening inside her own library, she needed to understand it. So she read it, carefully, quietly. At first, just to prove him wrong, to show him how ridiculous it all was. But that's not what happened. Because the more she read, the less it felt like nonsense, and the more it felt like something structured, intentional, something that followed rules. That's when things changed. Not all at once, not in a way anyone else could see. But inside that building, behind closed doors, their conversations shifted. It stopped being about ideas and started becoming practice. Small things at first, harmless if you didn't know what you were looking at. Patterns, repetition, ritual in the simplest form. Agnes told herself it was nothing, just curiosity, just understanding, just observing. But there's a point where curiosity stops being curiosity and becomes participation. And by the time that line was crossed, it didn't feel like a line anymore. It felt necessary. And the worst part is, no one in Briarwood noticed. Not the late nights, not the changes, not the fact that something inside that library had quietly become something else entirely. Because from the outside, Agnes and her husband still looked exactly the same, helpful, respected, trusted. No one saw what they were becoming. And by the time it mattered, it was already too late. What Agnes and her husband were doing didn't stay between them, not for long. It started the way most things in Briarwood did, simple, familiar, safe. A book club, a small group of regulars, people who trusted each other, people who had known each other for years. They met after hours, inside the library, same place, same time, every week.
Read this,
at first, it was exactly what it looked like. Discussion, ideas, different perspectives, nothing unusual. Until Agnes's husband introduced something new, a book. The same one he had been reading, the one Agnes had already begun to understand. He didn't present it as something dark. He framed it as knowledge, hidden history, something misunderstood, something powerful if you knew how to read it. And at first, there was hesitation, A few uncomfortable looks, a few quiet objections. But Agnes was there, calm, reassuring, familiar, and that made it easier. Because if Agnes trusted it, why wouldn't they? So they read it, together, and something shifted. Not all at once, but enough. The conversations changed. They became more focused, more intentional, less about interpretation and more about understanding. Then came the idea of structure, of practice. They didn't call it a ritual, not at first, just repetition, patterns, certain phrases, certain actions, done the same way, every time. They told themselves it was harmless, private, something only they understood. And over time, that group became something else entirely. They gave it a name, not for the town, not for anyone outside, just for themselves. The Quiet Covenant. It wasn't loud, it wasn't obvious, it didn't draw attention. That was the point. They were bound by something no one else could see, a shared belief, a shared understanding, a shared responsibility. And for a while, that's all it was. Small, controlled, contained. Until the book asked for more. Because buried deep within its pages, past the philosophy, past the structure, past the things they told themselves were harmless, there was a requirement. Not suggested, not symbolic, required. Something had to be given. At first, they didn't accept it. They tried to reinterpret it, to soften it, to make it mean something else. But the more they read, the clearer it became. The rituals weren't incomplete, they were unfinished. And without that final step, none of it mattered. That's when everything changed. Because belief is easy until it asks something from you. And once that line is crossed, you don't go back. You justify it, you protect it, you commit to it. And in Briarwood, behind locked doors, inside a place no one questioned, that's exactly what they did. There was no misunderstanding, no hidden meaning, no metaphor to soften it. The book was clear. The ritual required a human sacrifice. Not symbolic, not imagined, real. That was the line. And everyone in that room knew it. For the first time, the Quiet Covenant wasn't united. Some refused immediately, said it was too far, that whatever they were doing, this wasn't worth it. Others didn't speak at all, because saying nothing meant they didn't have to choose. And then there was Agnes. Calm, steady, certain. She didn't raise her voice, didn't argue, didn't force anything. She explained it. That everything they had done up to that point meant nothing without completion. That they were already involved, already committed, and walking away now would leave everything unfinished. Or worse. She reframed it, not as violence, but as necessity, as a step, a final requirement to unlock what the book promised. And slowly, that hesitation started to shift. Because belief doesn't collapse all at once. It adjusts, it justifies, until something unthinkable starts to feel inevitable. Agnes made it simple. If it had to be done, it had to be someone who wouldn't raise questions. Someone the town wouldn't rally around, someone already on the edges. That's when the name came up. Johnny Hicks, the town drunk, homeless, unpredictable. The kind of man people noticed, but never really saw. And once his name was spoken, no one in that room challenged it. Because deep down, they all understood what that meant. This wasn't theory anymore. This wasn't discussion. This was action. And the moment they agreed, even without saying the words out loud, there was no going back.
You don't need to understand. You only need to listen. This moment was decided long before you arrived. We didn't choose you. You were already chosen. People like you slip through the world unnoticed. No one asks where you go. No one comes looking. That's why this works. That's why it has to be you. Be still now. It will be over soon.